Hi, I'm Sarah Gelsheimer, and I'm a Senior Wealth Manager at Plancorp. Let's talk today about striving for financial freedom even amidst a pandemic. So I don't think there's anyone out there who predicted that this pandemic would happen a year ago, nor all of its impacts it's had. I mean, all of these things are outside of our control. But the reality is, even in normal times, there are so many aspects outside of our control when it comes to planning for our financial futures. Things like taxes, the stock market performance, interest rates. So really, we're better off spending our time on those things that we can control. So let's dive into a few of those today. First of all, you can't really set up where you're going if you don't even know what those goals are. So really take some time to think about where you want to be in a year, 5 years, 20, 40 years down the road. And don't just think about it, really visualize it. Think about how it would make you feel to reach those goals. If you have kids and one of your goals is to help them pay for school, what kind of school would you want them to be able to go to? For retirement, what does retirement look like for you? Do you want to retire at a beach somewhere? Do you want to have a second home? Really think about what that goal would look like for you. Society these days have become so focused on instant gratification that I think it's made it really hard for us to have the discipline to save for future goals. So the more we can visualize it and think about how that would make us feel, achieving that goal, the more likely we are to stick with that plan. So once you have your goals in place, write them down, think about them. The next step would be figuring out your budget. You can't really plan for those goals if you don't know how much excess cash flow you have each month. So there are lots of great programs to help you figure that out. Things like mint.com, where you can pull in your bank account and credit cards, and it can show you exactly where your expenses are going each month. My husband and I used mint.com when we first got married, and we were both shocked to see how much we actually spent eating out. So it's a great way to get a good handle on where your cash is going and even some places where you could potentially scale back. So once you have a good handle on your budget, then you can determine how much extra cash flow you should designate to your various goals. So one goal everyone should have, if they don't already, is an emergency fund. The pandemic was a prime example of why it's so important to have a rainy day fund set up. And this should include, at a minimum, 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, maybe more if your income is pretty variable. And that bucket should be very liquid, cash or money market. So that's your first priority. The next priority would be setting up, and automating, if possible, savings to your other goals. So for retirement, for example, that's likely a much further goal down the road. So you can take on more risk, and I would encourage you to have, investments in the stock market. But be sure that those investments are very diversified, having a mix of stocks and bonds, and then within the stock account, making sure that there are stocks in U.S. funds and international, small, large, growth, value. You want to make sure you really are diversified, because that is one of the pieces you can control. So hopefully this was helpful to hear some of the things that you should focus your attention on, particularly during a pandemic like we've lived through right now. Another great resource would be going to startmyplan.com. There you can take a financial assessment, and it will help you prioritize what financial goals you should be considering. And also, you'll actually get tailored advice around tax planning, retirement planning, different areas of financial planning. So use that resource if you haven't gotten your financial life in order already. Certainly this is, I hope we never have another pandemic, but there will definitely always be things outside of our control. So again, the message today is focusing on the things that you can control so that you really can achieve financial freedom. If there's anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out.